So in 2013, I was playing with him and I pulled my back. And I couldn't get up for like 15 minutes. I had to lie on the floor and I couldn't even move. And I was like, I can't even play with my 4-year-old son. This can't, I can't go on like this. So that was my wake up call to do something my fitness. So that's when I started thinking about eating right. Why don't you come running with us? I'm going to run with a friend. I said, I'm not interested in running it. But he says, hey, we are going to this trail, this hiking trail. I said, oh yeah, I've been there. I like hiking there. He says, then you come hike. We'll run, you come hike. And if you like running with us, then maybe you can join for 1 or 2 weeks. We are going to do that like 3 times. So I joined. But running on trail was a lot different than running on road. It was a lot of fun. And he was talking about running the Grand Canyon from rim to rim to rim. And I heard that people hike the Grand Canyon. I didn't know people can run. And I wanted to bike. And he said, you don't have to get any permission. You can, if you're doing it in 24 hours, you can just go run. I said, let's do that.
I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, I talk to Ganesh Kumar. Ganesh is an ultra cyclist and an ultra trail runner par excellence. I first met Ganesh in Tour of Nilgiris and have been fascinated by his passion and penchant for endurance ever since. One year, he rode his bicycle from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and then Tour of Nilgiris, and then Tour of Tamilnadu, all back to back without any breaks. He has done many month-long self-supported tours up to 5,000 kilometers as well. He got into running and then turned to ultra trail running and started winning many trail ultra races in India. When I was in Ooty and Coonoor recently for a cycling trip with friends, he joined us for a couple of days of riding, and I used this opportunity to sit down with him and learn more about his endurance journey. It was really inspiring to listen to his journey and all the stories from many of his tours. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Hi Ganesh, welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast. The pleasure having you on the show.
Hi, Venki. Thank you.
Finally, since you are, not going to be in Bangalore, I have made my way to where you are. We are meeting in Ooty. So
Yeah, this was a surprise. And you have your whole setup here and with everyone here.
yeah, I mean, Shankar gave me a hint that you might join. I said, okay, let's
Do it.
I'm happy to see you.
Excellent. So, Ganesh, I want to start with talking about what was your relationship with sport growing up?
Um, so a lot of people think, my friends now who have only met me in cycling or me, they think that I've been in sports all my life, and I am not. I um, growing up, I was interested in cycling, but I never thought of that as a sport. The only sport we played in school was football. It was just whatever you did in the PT period, that was it. And cricket, I used to play with local friends, kids, right? We'll play in the street, in some ground, but nothing serious, right? So we never thought we'll be like athletes or anything. I still don't think so. Um, and but cycling was fun. I would go cycling with this one or two friends who would go long distance with me. And my dad had this rule that I should not cycle on tar road, asphalt.
Oh, why does that?
Because traffic is there, it is dangerous.
Ah.
I'm the only child who die, so typical Indian dad, mom. Uh, so they were very protective. They said you can go cycle on any back roads, no problem. These busy roads. And I was a very nice boy and I listened to them. But back in the day, there were a lot of dirt roads that you can cycle on. So I've mapped back what we used to cycle, and I think it was around 15 kilometers one way, which seemed long distance back then. And these were normal cycles. In fact, these were cycles from my dad's. My dad had a company, and we had a watchman, and his old cycle was my cycle. So
Right.
I don't even remember. I think it's a Raleigh or something.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the cycle. And so that was my, that was the only thing I did with sports in college and in school. Then when I moved to US for my masters, and then I started working there. And at that time, I got a mountain bike. Even that was just to go see places. Right? So it was not cycling seemed fun, so I wanted to get back into it, and I got a mountain bike. But later on, one of my roommates, he was interested in cycling from Alaska to Argentina.
Wow.
So he moved into my place, and we started living in my house. And he had a book that he had bought recently, which a couple, husband and wife, who cycle from Alaska to Argentina. They write a whole book about it.
Oh.
Right? So they write about like this is in 2001, so 20 years ago, 23 years ago. We didn't have Google Maps and all that then. So they actually would print the maps also, and they would. There was also official maps, but they had these maps for cyclists, and they would say which sandal shop is good, which campsite is good for cycling. So that kind of thing, all the way from Alaska to Argentina.
Right.
And it was a fun book to read also. It was not stories; it was just what they experienced as their. And I didn't think anyone could do that. And the husband and wife doing that sounded very interesting. So we went and did that. Like he wanted to go do that, um, but he didn't have any preparation. Right? He wasn't even cycling. He just was interested in the idea of. So he bought a cycle. He decided to go ride from Oregon, so all of U.S. coast as a first attempt. But then he gave up after one day because again he didn't train. He didn't
Right.
cycling. And then I think life changed. He moved out, but he gave me because I really liked it. He gave me that book as a gift, and that's something I still want to do. So, that got me into thinking about cycle touring. And that's what started me into long distance endurance sports. And to do that, I ended up buying a road bike and cycling from San Francisco to Los Angeles with sleeping bag, with tent, the thing. So I camped. So it was 6 days for 18 miles. Again, no maps. And I didn't know. I've done 100 miles before. So I thought, okay, so I'm doing 80 miles a day, so it's not a big deal. In fact, I wanted to do 100 like in 5 days. I had to change it on the.
Right. So was it the same year?
It was no, it was not the same year. Uh, it was after my. So I
So
think
your friend planted the seed.
he
It
planted.
kind of slowly, gave, he tried to do, but he couldn't. He gave up. But he gifted you that book.
Right.
You planted that seed, and it slowly germinated. And after a few years after your marriage, you
Right.
kind of took.
I think it just happened so that my wife was in LA studying and I was living in North California. And I had an excuse because I was driving or flying sometimes every weekend to go see her. Now I was like, okay, why can't I cycle and go see her? So I had an excuse to go do that.
And you were working at that by the time.
I was working in Sacramento at Intel. Uh, so so I thought, okay, I'll go try that. And when I did that, so there are a lot of stories, but they will become a very long.
Well, that's right. Stories are what.
Yeah. So I think let me tell you one. Again, another. I think in a way, life-changing experience in that. So I camped everything, and I didn't have elevation profile, right? So I didn't realize that being able to cycle 100 miles one weekend day is not the same as cycling it back to back with all your luggage and everything, and different routes with mountains in between, right? It makes a big difference, and headwinds and everything, right? So I didn't understand. So what happened was when I was cycling on the fourth day in the evening, it was a long day, lot of mountains. Uh, I was expecting to finish by 4 p.m. and it was already 6 o'clock. So, and I still had 20 miles to go, and I was worried that if I go to the campsite and the campsite was full, then I won't be able to find. I have to find a hotel to stay at. Like that. Again, no. I had a very basic cell phone. We didn't have internet, fully functioning as now. We can't just book a hotel like when you think of it, kind of thing. So I was worried, and I was climbing this hill. And as I reached the top, it was, I think, yeah, it was around 5 or 6 p.m. And another guy, he was climbing from the south. It was a bike trail on the side of the highway, and he climbed up, and we both reached the top. I was going south, he was going north from south, and we both said hi. And he had a trailer, he had a cycle trailer behind him. And I asked him, okay, there is a campsite 20 miles from here. Is the campsite open? Do you know about it? Did you see it? He said, yeah, I think you will find sites, no problem. Then he asked me about the next town north from there. We talked. So then I asked him, okay. So he asked me, okay, where are you? San Francisco to Los Angeles, right? And I was like very proud. Yeah. That I'm coming. I'm doing like almost 500 miles. Right. And so I asked him, where are you going to? He said Vancouver. And so that is the most famous Vancouver is in Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia, right? Which is very far, right, from there. But there is a Vancouver in Washington State, near Portland, Oregon. Right. But that is a little closer. So in my mind, I was hoping, maybe it's Vancouver, Washington, right? So I asked him which Vancouver. He said, no, the Canada one. Right. So it's a long one. I said, oh wow, okay, so I'm very impressed already. Then I asked him, where is he coming from? There's Vancouver. Yeah. So I'm confused. So I'm like, what do you mean? So this guy has traveled the world, started from Vancouver, and traveled the whole world
Wow.
without using fossilized fuel. Right? So no petrol, no diesel. He skied, so he cycled to the edge of Alaska, and then in the winter he skied from across the frozen area to Siberia, and then cycled through Russia, Europe, and had one friend bring a sailboat, and they both sailed the Atlantic, went to South America, and has been settling on.
Wow.
So he did that in 2 years.
Wow.
And
And you met him on your first
on my first
six day ride.
yeah, on my first 6 day ride, and that was basically a month after I got my
Right.
and this is again, I've been very proud that I'm doing this 5 6 day ride, and I met this guy, and it was so impressive. I couldn't even think that somebody would be doing that. And he was very chill about it, you know.
Yeah, nonchalant. It's
Yeah,
no big
and
deal.
then he congratulated me on what I am doing. He was very supportive
Right.
the way he talked. And then he was, I think he had a plan to write a book.
Mm.
But anyway, so that was my thing about,
Oh, wow.
getting into it.
Amazing, amazing. So made it to across to where your wife was staying, and made a trip out of it.
Right.
And that was the start of your longer endurance, cycling.
Right.
Right. And this was which year?
So this was 2006.
Hmm.
2006.
So the seed was planted in 2001. It happened in 2006. Kind of, it took fruit in 2006, so to speak. And then from then on, were you riding regularly? How was
Not so
this?
much, life happens, right? And
Right.
then I got busy. My wife graduated, and we were planning to have a family, have a kid, and move, bought new house. We had to, you know, remodel the house and all these things.
Right.
I got into skiing a lot. I was a ski patroller, master ski patroller there. So there are many things happening, and cycling I would occasionally do, but it wasn't. I wouldn't think of it as a regular activity back then. Then I think 2013. So my son was born in 2008. So when he was around 4 5 years old, I realized that I am out of shape by
Right.
that time.
Yeah.
When he was born, I was okay because there were a lot of things happening, and I had lost weight. But then things became comfortable, and we couldn't go out much, travel much, and all. So I put on weight again,
Right.
and again in 2000 I was very overweight. Also, I think I was 86 kilos, 87 kilos.
Wow.
That was my heaviest. But if you look at me, you would say I was probably 100 kilos. Right?
Right.
I look big.
Uh,
And that was after I moved from India to the US and just eating whatever.
Right, living in college life and partying, probably eating a lot more.
Yeah, and not eating right. Eating, skipping meals, and then just having a lot of meals later
Right.
and just
Yeah.
not doing any workout or anything. So that kind of happened again. So in 2013, I was playing with him, and I pulled my back, and I couldn't get up for like 15 minutes. I had to lie on the floor, and I couldn't even move. And I was like, I can't even play with my 4 year old son. This can't, I can't
Right.
go on like this. So that was my wake up call to do something about my fitness. So that's when I started thinking about eating right. I also okay. Uh, at the same time, I had an issue where I was having gastric reflux kind of as well. So I was having a lot of issues there. Um, and at times I would eat something and it would just burn really badly.
Right.
I went to the doctor and the doctor gave me a medication and she said, okay, take this for 30 days and come. I took it for 30 days, went back. After the first week, things got better. There was no problem. Um, I was happy. I went to the doctor and she said, okay, good. So this solved it. I said, okay, thank you. She said, no, so now you take this medication for life. You take this every day for life. It's proton pump inhibitors,
Right.
PPI. And she said, these are the most widely used medication in the world. Almost many people take it, so you just take it for life. I don't want to take medication for life. So, like, so that and this kind of happened around the same time. So it got me thinking that I should eat better and get my fitness right. So I started eating better. For 6 months, I had a big breakfast. I used to skip breakfast. I had a big breakfast every day. It was fruits, nuts, and eggs, and that's it. And at night, I had very little meal. I cut out all fried stuff. I cut out cheese. And I started working out, and I went back to cycling because cycling was always fun. So I said, okay, I'll cycle to work and cycle back, unless if I have to drop my son or something like that. Then, even then, I kind of figured some things where I have a tandem cycle or a attachment where I can put him in the back and go. But I made sure that I did something every day. And I made it as my normal, like instead of driving, I would do it.
How long was that commute?
Commute was about 5 miles, so 8 kilometers.
Right.
So, and also if I go for lunch, I used to go out during my lunch break, go get lunch. I used to start cycling to the lunch point. I'll eat half the lunch and then bring half to eat next day.
Oh,
So I'll order the lunch and ask for box and pack half even before I start eating, and then eat the half and bring. So that way I started incorporating uh, as part of my regular thing. So and I found it easier than trying to find time to go cycle or work out instead.
Right.
So that during that time I came to India. There was a long 4 week, 4 or 5 week trip we had planned, and I was worried that if I come to India, I will eat a lot. Family, parents, your mom is going to feed you so much and all the sweets that you will eat. And I won't have a gym to go and all that. And I never cycled in India other than back in my school days.
Right.
So, so I was looking to, cycle here. And I went on Google or Yahoo, maybe, I don't know. And Google, I think at the time. Yeah, so I was searching and I found the Tour of Nilgiris.
Oh, brilliant.
And Tour of Nilgiris and Tour of Tamilnadu. I found both of them. And it was just 2 weeks before the tour started. I think both were next to each other. I messaged Deepak and I messaged Vasant at the same time. And they were both closed.
Right.
Like they were both.
Yeah. They usually close much before the start.
Yeah. So when I went to the website, they said, sold out and registrations closed. So, but it seemed like a very interesting, both seemed very interesting tours. So, and then Deepak got back to me. Vasant also got back to me, but Deepak got back to me first. And he said, I have a cancellation. If you want, let me know now.
Right.
And I had all these questions. I didn't know anything about cycling in India. I was worried about traffic and what will happen, how the roads would be, and I didn't know any friends here who were cycling and all that. I said, okay, we'll just Deepak. I talked to Deepak and he seemed like a very nice guy, and I signed up. And then I was reading up all these things, and then in Tour of Nilgiris, they were talking about the wall. I was reading about this thing, and
this was 2013.
2014 was
14.
14.
Yeah.
So I had registered, and just before coming, I was reading about it, and they said there was I don't remember. I don't think it was yours. There.
My blog.
Maybe it might have been your blog, the first
Right.
one I read. But it was talking about how it is the most difficult, one of the most difficult things in
Probably my blog from 2013.
No, I remember reading your blog where you went on a fixie and went off and your crazy experiments in Kaladi.
Right.
I read that and I got scared. And I'm like, but it was okay. So I said,
Right.
even if I don't cycle, I'll walk it up.
Right.
I was going to do it. But after reading your blog, I went and changed my cycle. I put a 32
Cassette.
to gear in the back, so I can sit and keep
Right.
spinning, right? So I had to change my derailleur, my cage, my I got a mountain bike cassette, and so I had a 3 ring road bike back then. So it was
Okay.
a basic entry level
Triple
road
crank,
bike.
yeah.
And so I shifted to India. Again, a lot of things happened, but I came to TFN, met you guys. At that time, I didn't know about Strava. I didn't know about heart rate monitors, all of these things. I didn't know about Garmin. You know, I was tracking my ride, but I was using some weird app.
Right.
I don't even remember. Maybe Ride with GPS. Um, but I was not. I was a solo rider. I was not part of community. And after cycling with the Tour of Nilgiris guys and you all and meeting you all, it was very nice. And I got to learn. Uh, After that, I got into Strava.
Right. So 2014 was arguably, I mean, as far as I am concerned, from 2011 I have done all the editions of Tour of Nilgiris, and 2014 was the toughest edition because it had that Kalahati, it had that Munnar line,
Right.
all those, it had all Valparai, it had Munnar.
Right.
So it was like the hardest edition till date, I think.
Right.
And that was your arrangement of
Right.
Indian touring.
Yeah, and a lot of things happened. I forgot to bring one suitcase. I left it in the airport, which had my helmet, my cycling shoes, my pedals, and so I had half a bike here, and then I had 4 days. So Sulaiman from Coimbatore, he helped me get everything and put it all together. And yeah, my bike shoes were the cycling shoes. I got MTD clean cycling shoes. They were too tight because Decathlon didn't have the right size.
Right.
Uh, so it was a interesting tool, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was very, it was definitely fun. So I've done TFN, I think 4 times after that.
Right. 14
Yeah, continuously 14, 15, 16,
till 17.
Uh,
Which was the year where you have done what Singapore ride and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and then
No.
Tour of Tamilnadu and TFN the same?
No. So Singapore ride was a different year.
Okay.
So 2016, it happened that I did Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and then came and did TFN. Kashmir to Kanyakumari ended in December first week, and TFN was still happening in, I think, second week at that time. And then so did that. Then the day after TFN finishes is TOT starts. So I wrap up, I just drive straight to TOT registration the same day, or the briefing the same day. I actually did the TFN TOT package for 3 years. 15, 16, 17. I did the
Right, you were doing back to back. I was like, who is this crazy? by that time, we kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then in 16, when that happened, like, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and then TFN, and then TOT. I was like, okay, this guy is something else. He's a different breed.
No, it was just, I think, so cycling in a tour like TFN or TOT is, it's nice because the, the organizers plan all the route,
Right.
and the support is incredible
Right.
in both tours, in all the tours.
Yeah.
In general. But they know the roots. They've done all the background work, and I know you've been part of some of the
Some of the
right?
case and
Yeah, and it's hard to go do all that. Right? It is very boring for someone who's people who do that with passion that they put in. Right? And they set up everything for us. All I have to do is post it.
It's a pampered kind of setup. But what was the idea behind, like Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and how did that kind of happen?
Kashmir to Kanyakumari was, so I met a friend Kamlesh Sajnani in TFL in 1 year. And then the next year he also did TFL and TOT together. And so we basically carpooled from TFL to TOT. And I think the year after that he said Chennai Rotary Club is organizing a centenary ride. They wanted to do something for their 100th celebration, and they wanted to do a ride from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And he said it's going to be a free for all the participants. I think there will be about 20 to 30 riders, and everything is covered. If you want, I was still living in the US, and he said, if you want to come from there, they'll pay for your flight ticket from US. All the hotel is paid for, everything is paid for, food. I said, come on, that's unbelievable. Nobody is going to do that.
Right.
I am riding, I'm having fun. Why is other people paying for it? And he said, no, dude. He said, dude, this is not going to happen.
Right.
So I kind of ignored.
Right.
And he, just before it was going to happen, he messaged, I think 1 week before, he messaged me and he said, by the way, next week we are starting from Kashmir. I said, what are you talking about? He said, see, I told you, right? Like we are starting. He said, are you serious? He said, yeah, everything's booked. Then I asked, can I join now?
Yeah. Because it is happening.
He said, are you serious? Yeah, I'll make it happen. Then he put a call through the Rotary Club president and everything, and yeah, it somehow like all these people actually listened and helped, and it worked. And they within 6 hours they told me that yes, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning in California. Then the next, so I got up early in the morning before my wife got up. I went to work. I told my boss that I'm leaving for a month and a half. Then he asked me, are you asking me for leave or are you telling? I don't know, but I want to go. So, so he said, okay, we'll figure something out. Then I came and told my wife, and that was another story.
Right.
But yeah, everything worked out. So, so I was able to make that in that short time. Somehow all things worked out. I came here. Then that also was very nice. It it was a small group of people, and we are there for 30 days riding together. The bond you establish with people like this, they were, and anyone, like even in these tours, this is what people who come for these long distance events or any events like this, they are all passionate people, right? And they have passion. So they might be from different backgrounds, they might be in different professions and fields, different social statuses, uh, different languages, all, but they're all passionate in wanting to do something, and that is, I think, the whole vibe of hanging with people like that is very nice.
Right.
And in a way, it is addicting.
Right.
So,
So and all these tours got also is like more than the riding and riding in great locations. It's the people that you ride with, right?
Yes.
That's the camaraderie that kind of comes along with it.
Yeah.
Sharing that suffering kind of brings the people together like nothing else, right?
I mean, I'm here today now because of the people I met in team.
Right.
Shankar called me, and you're here. It's happy, like just meeting you guys again. Right. And when would I ever meet
Yeah.
people?
So the new TFN has given us all of us like friends for life, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's the value that it brings is not just another tool. It's much beyond that.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, what was this Singapore ride, and when did that happen?
So, okay. So, so I've been doing this tour of Tamilnadu.
Right.
And in one of those tours, I met a guy from Germany. He was 64 years old at that time when he first came. And I was going to move from US to India. And I had told him I'm thinking of cycling from San Francisco to New York across the US. And he said, whenever you're cycling, let me know. I'm joining.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. So I told him when he came and joined, we
Which
both.
year was it?
This was 2018.
Mm.
We did it in September, October. And it was so wonderful. Like we had a lot of stories there also, but interesting. Right? And it went successfully. We had to change the route. There was forest fire in between.
What would the
So there was in one case there was a forest fire, and we had uh,
How many miles was this from?
5,000 kilometers.
Right.
So yeah,
It's basically
I think
similar to the race across Africa.
kind of. I think
Distance wise, it sounds similar.
yeah, it's kind of close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe RAM is a couple hundred less.
Mhm.
I don't know
Right,
exactly. But yeah, very simple. But the route is not like
Route is different, yeah.
we just chose a route that we thought would be easy and interesting.
Mhm.
We didn't want to be on big highways,
Right.
and so we kind of chose a route. But yeah, in one of those routes, so from California, we had to cross Nevada and Utah. And the easiest way is through the desert section. And the desert there, I remember seeing a signboard which said there is no services for the next 90 miles. They're almost 150 kilometers.
Right.
There is nothing. No petrol bunk, right? Like there is
No stores, nothing.
no stops. Yeah. So in the US, the most common thing is a gas station.
Gas station.
Yeah. If you don't have that, then there's nothing else.
Right.
And because it is desert, there is no like houses, farmland, or anything like that. It's just empty. So no water. And I was very worried. So I had a touring bike and I had like 3 water bottle cages, but I carried a gallon of water, but half filled in my pack, in my pannier. Um, and yeah, so that was we crossed, and luckily during that they had some 500-kilometer cycling event happening, and those aid station people called us and gave us water.
Right.
So I was like very lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah. So it worked out. We stayed in. There is a website called Warm Showers.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is.
Couch surfing.
So there is couch surfing.
Mhm.
There is a website called couch surfing. Couch surfing is for anybody who wants to
Who just travel.
who travels, and if they don't, so you can offer your couch as a place for somebody to come and stay.
Right.
So, and you can even charge
Mm.
in couch surfing.
Oh.
So it's not free.
Correct.
But it's mostly free. Warm showers is only for cycle travel.
Oh.
Only for bike
Beautiful.
travel. So you can offer your home you can offer a bedroom or just a space to camp a pitch a tent or like a couch or something.
Couch.
So you say whatever you're offering, and then you say when they need to contact by, a day in advance, 1 week in advance, or 1 hour in advance kind of thing. And they'll say, they can support up to like 2 people or 4 people or something like that. And what is available? So you can be a host, or you can register as a guest and then message hosts if you're going to that one. So my friend was not very comfortable staying at other people's houses. He said, let's just book, cheap hotels and stay. I wanted to do camping also. We did 1 day of camping and it was in frozen weather, freezing weather. And he said,
This is not.
yeah, he said, my bones are too old for this. I'm not doing this anymore. So we ended up going to a courier service and shipping all my tent stuff back home.
Right.
So,
So that the lighter, you don't have to, lug around the stuff that you are not going to use.
Correct. So, but then I kind of convinced him we should try this warm shorts thing. Because I have been a host and I've hosted two people or two different traveling groups, and it was nice. Uh, when we asked, we didn't even give them much notice. It was only like 4 or 5 hours. Like I messaged him because we didn't exactly know how far we'll get, which town we'll be. We were planning only 1 day ahead. And so I messaged them around just before noon or something, and they would reply back to me. This is all email, right? Like not
Email.
WhatsApp.
No instant messaging.
Yeah, no. So they either have email or you can message in their website, and the message comes back in their website. So you have to log in and see.
Right.
So they got notification. They replied, and I checked, and these two were older single ladies. One was working in the government, one was a professor, one was in Colorado, another lady was a professor in University of Iowa. And I messaged, yes, an Indian guy. So I'm saying this because there is a bit of racism everywhere, right? Like in India also, everywhere. Because as a single white woman, you would be afraid if there is a brown man asking to come and stay in your house just 4 hours before. No, and they both said yes. And we went and stayed, and they had made both of them were super nice. They when we came into the house, they had snacks ready for us. They made dinner for us. This one lady went to a special shop, a farm, and got organic chocolate milk for us.
Wow.
And they cooked breakfast, and they even packed something for us to take
for the road.
for the road. And one in Colorado at Karen's house, we stayed. That was our first rest day. We stayed on extra night, and she said, okay, you can take my car. I have all my cycle tools if you want to fix anything or tune your bike. I have a she had a cycle stand to work on.
Right.
So we used all that, and we even used her car to go to the town, see the town, and come back. So again, like these people you meet, it's if you don't do these kind of things, if you are just living a normal life,
that the perspective you get is something else.
Yeah, and I've noticed that we are always afraid. This is something that I've been thinking of for some time. I've been meaning to make an Instagram, but xenophobia. We are always afraid of people we don't know. People of different color, people of different religion, different language, culture. We are afraid it's us versus them.
Right. Something that is different from us, or something that is different from the way we live. Or, it's always like there is automatically a kind of feeling that is like fear that
Fear,
kind of
correct.
comes into.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know why. I mean, people can we can think about why, right? It could be that we are afraid that we lose our perspective. What if what we think is wrong and what they think is right?
It could be something that is as like old as from the it might be
Like
a survival
praise,
mechanism, right?
yeah,
That you got to be careful.
like
Some-
keep them kin together, like your
Correct.
clan
Yeah.
versus the different clan.
Yeah.
Because it's always like the other clan is coming to attack.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are like maybe some historical significance to all that feeling and all that.
Maybe.
But yeah, but it is a truth.
Like-
It is something that happens.
But what I realized is wherever I've been in strange lands, strange to me,
Right. Yeah.
where I don't speak the language, I don't know the culture, I don't know what is in the food. They have given me food, I don't know what is right. I know it is some meat. I don't know what animal and what part. And what spices. I don't know anything. I ask, they say something, I don't understand.
I understand. Yeah.
But if I'm in trouble and when I go ask, I've always got help,
Hmm.
right? And that is, I once I've experienced this, I realized that people are kind.
People are kind, and all of them. I mean, all of us are more similar than different in many ways, right?
Right.
There, for the outside eye, there could be like vastly different, but when it comes to the core, all of us share some kind of.
Yeah, I think it's when you see somebody needing help, and I think when they can offer, the people have gone out of their way to. There's one family in Mexico. Not only that we stay in their backyard, which attended their backyard, very remote. Because they only had beef to eat, and I wasn't eating beef at that time. They had no chicken, they had no eggs, they had no beans, they had nothing. And they had rice, just plain rice. So I said, I'll just eat plain rice.
Yeah.
And then later on, she came back and she had, do you eat fish? I said, yeah, I eat fish. I wasn't very fond of fish,
Right.
but I said, I'll eat fish.
Yeah.
So they made me this big meal. I ate fish, rice. And later the cousin told me the fish was for them because that area there is no water body. And they bring it, this cousin travels once a month. He brings frozen fish and they keep it for the family dinner. So it was, and they wouldn't charge, like I wanted to pay because it was also a store. So I said, see, it's like I'm paying for dinner and they wouldn't pay.
Right. But all these experiences kind of teach you or kind of wean you away from that internal that phobia, right?
Right, yeah.
Definitely. So, and how long did it take for you to that ride across America?
Oh yeah, sorry. Right across America was 30 days, 30 or 31, 5,000 kilometers, 30 days. And we liked that. Okay, so this is to answer your question.
Right.
So we liked that it went successfully, and we liked that we were kind of similar in ability. So we were able to do 30 days, 5,000 kilometers, about 100 miles a day.
Yeah.
So we said we'll do the same thing every year. It's very, we were very optimistic there. But the next year, in 2019, he was in Germany and he said, okay, why don't we do something from India to Singapore? And that's how the thought started. And we were like, where from India? We said Darjeeling to Singapore. And then plan changes happened. So we ended up starting from Imphal to Singapore, which was again, but in that we had a 5 people group at the start. 3 of us were going to do the whole thing. 2 other German guys, my friends had joined. They were only going till Bangkok. They were going to fly out. Uh, Things changed. He was suffering from some back issue. He had a fracture also, so he hadn't fully recovered and trained. And we had a friend Anjali who had come from Pune. And she also fell.
Anjali Band.
Falling,
Right.
So she
Another
also
TFNR.
TFN and TOT. Yeah.
Right.
So so that's how we planned this. Right? So she also had a fall during, so and she had a shoulder that was bothering her all the way, and she also stopped in Bangkok. And I decided to. I said, okay, so I want to continue this. I am still able to do it. So I went solo from Thailand to Singapore.
Right. So Nepal,
Imphal, Myanmar, Burma. Burma only we had to plan the distances because they wouldn't let us, they wouldn't give us a visa without having all the hotels booked and have a tour agency and all that.
Right.
So Burma we had some support for half till Bagan in Burma. We had a van that came with us. After that, they let us go. So we were carrying our luggage. So that was about 13 days in Burma, which was every day was a short day because the tour company planned it.
Right.
Then Thailand, after first 2 days in Thailand, we kind of split up because I had at that time I had decided I wanted to do to Singapore.
Right.
So I knew that I needed to start doing a little longer training per day to uh, finish within time to get back home.
Right.
Spend a week before TFN. Oh no, I think before QT or something like that. So I ended up, I think there were like 3 days, I did like 220 plus 220, 250 kilometers. But it was okay.
So what was the total distance and
5,000.
5,000?
It was all like about 5,000. So
Yeah.
5,000 to 5,100,
Yeah.
30 days.
30 days. Amazing. Amazing. So that seed that your friend planted back in 2001 when we are Kunal, when you were 86 and unfit and all that, right? That took shape and took you changed the course of your life in a way, right? Slowly but steadily, it kind of metamorphosed into something totally different. Took you on a course completely different.
Right.
Amazing how things go, right?
Yeah.
Now, nowadays you are like not just like ultra cycling, touring kind of thing, but you've been into ultra running, right? And winning the races left, right, and center.
Some, yeah.
Some. But how did this running and ultra running come into the picture?
This is again another funny story. I never liked running. Running seemed I tried running and I would injure myself and then I would stop because I didn't I would do road running and I would run 5 kilometers at time. I read something and I would say okay I'm going to run like that, right? And I was able to run fast, but I didn't realize that just being able to run fast one day doesn't mean that you can keep doing that.
Right.
The third day I get injured. And then I can't do anything for a month or so. So, so I stopped running. I didn't run at all. I would run maybe 1 kilometer or so, but that's it. Then after my Kashmir to Kanyakumari trip, I was more active on Strava by that time, and uh, I started look at segments and trying to better my timing and segments and all. And one guy had started following me, an Indian in where I was living in the US, right? Folsom, which is a suburb of Sacramento. A guy named Sashank Deshpande, he was following me. And initially I had thought it was a Shashank that I had met at a friend's party, at a friend's camping event. And he is bald, this Shashank. I'm like, okay. And he would give me kudos and all that. And then when I was cycling through his hometown, trying to remember, I mean, Maharashtra, Karnataka border, uh, Karnataka's other capital,
Ah, uh,
administrative building.
right. Then I know what you mean, but
Yeah,
the name
yeah.
doesn't
Anyway,
come, but
yeah. I keep thinking Bhopal. It's not Bhopal, I know
Right.
that, right? But anyway, so when I was cycling through that, he on that Strava post, he had commented saying, "Hey, you are cycling through my hometown.
Right.
In fact, you cycle through my school or something." And that is the first comment he has made. I knew he's been following me and giving me kudos, and I thanked him. Then later on, he again messaged on Strava. I think after I finished the Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and he said, "When you come back to Folsom, I want to get into cycling. Help me choose a bike." Right? I said, "Sure." I, anyway, I bought the way I bought bikes. I don't know anything technically about
Right.
bikes. I didn't, right? So anyway, I said, "Now I know a little bit. I can definitely help you. Come with you." Then I looked into his Strava and saw what he did, and this guy was running a lot. I looked at his yearly running activity in 2015. I think he had run 2015 miles the whole day. And that was his goal. And he had, I think in one of his activities, he had said, "Okay,
That
that's
is
his goal."
yeah.
Right? And the next year, he wanted to run more. So I commented on one of his activities saying, "Oh wow, this is very impressive." And then I saw that he's run 50 kilometers. I said, "Wow, that's super impressive." And after I went back to the US, before we even met for cycling, he messaged me. We had exchanged phone numbers, I think, at that time, and he had messaged me saying, "Why don't you come running with us? I'm going to run with a friend." I said, "I'm not interested in running at all." But he says, "Hey, we are going to this trail, this hiking trail." Uh, I said, "Oh yeah, I've been there. I like hiking there." He says, "Then you come hike. We'll run, you come hike. And if you like running with us, then maybe you can join for one of the weeks. We are going to do that like 3 times." So I joined. Till then, I'm thinking it is a Sashank that I had, met at my friend's party. So he told me, "Okay, 6 o'clock, my house, we'll leave." So I pull up his car. He's just starting his car, reversing. His friend is already sitting in the front seat. So Sashank is there driving. His white friend is sitting on the other side. I open the back door and I go sit inside and I realize it's not.
Not the run you had in mind.
Yeah, it's somebody else. It's some stranger. And I'm like, "Hey, Sashank." So yeah, hey Ganesh, good to meet you. Have we met before? He said, "No." "I thought you were the Sashank from that party." "No, no, no. I don't know who you're talking about." And I was kind of, back then it was kind of strange to meet people in a
Right.
platform like Strava. Now I think you surely have met a lot of people. And I've also now met a lot of people. And it was funny. And then I went with him, and but running on trail was a lot different than running on road. And it was a lot of fun. And he was talking about running the Grand Canyon from rim to rim to rim. And I heard that people hike the Grand Canyon. I didn't know people can run, and I wanted to hike. And he said, "You don't have to get any permission. You can, if you're doing it in 24 hours, you can just go run." I said, "Let's do that," right? Because getting permission there is very hard.
Right.
So let's do that. And so that the goal was to go run the Grand Canyon. And this was, I met him in January, I think. And yeah, I had finished TFN, TOT and all. After Christmas, went back to the US.
Right.
January, I met him. And
And this was 2017.
17. And April was my first 25-mile trail race. It was a 50-mile trail race that they had, but they had a Chota Beginner was. About 25, which I did. I did really well till 20, maybe 21 miles. I cramped really hard. I couldn't move. I held the fence and I was just standing there. And this other guy, this other Israeli guy who lives in the US, he came by and he said, "Hey, I saw you running. You ran past me. You ran very well. Come, let's go." I said, "Dude, I can't. You go." Like cramped. He said, "I'm not going to go catch a train. Come, we'll go together." Right? So then we walked, had stories together, and I ended up walking for maybe a few hundred meters and then started running. Finished it.
Amazing. That was your first trail run.
That was my first trail race. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And then how did the canyon thing itself?
Yeah, then canyon thing we finished. It was 80 kilometers.
Rim to rim.
Rim. The same three people who, the two other guys who I first met in my first trail attempt. They both were there. So three of us went to this. A white friend, he had some stomach issues, GI issues happening that day, and he was throwing up during. So he did one day and he stopped. We took him to the last bus and sent him back to our hotel. Then on the way back, my friend had issues, and I was faster than both of them. And Sahyang has been very supportive of me right from the start. He's like, "Oh, you're a born runner." I'm not. I'm not.
Obviously not because you haven't run.
No, yeah, right. And but he kept saying, and when you have somebody who's supporting you and cheerleading you,
Right.
you feel like, oh, maybe you can run, right? You feel good. So he was always very supportive, and so that and once I run a race, he's like, okay, what is the next race you're signing up for? So that's how it went, and yeah.
That's how you got into it.
Right.
And then after coming here, you kind of continued the running tradition.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And now, how many trails are there around where you live and all the?
And it's really interesting because when I grew up in Coimbatore, I lived 20 years here, right? I didn't know that there were. I had heard of Nilgiris, but I didn't know any other trails here at all. We used to come to Ooty on summer vacation as a family with family friends, and I would dream about people hiking in the forests, right? And in my dreams, it was like when you read these books, right? There are like big backpacks, and they're going through, and they're looking at these leaves, and somebody saying, "Oh, tiger walked by there. You can see the footprint." That kind of thing. But later on, now that I've come here and I explored trails, I use tools like GPS tools, topo maps, and talking to the locals. And almost every hill in this area, every mountain has a temple on top. Right?
Yeah, that's how there is a trail.
Yeah, that is how there is a trail, right? So, I mean, there is always a contention between locals versus the forest department trying to make sure that there is no, um, like illegal activities happening there, or whatever reason, right? They don't want forest fires, which are disturbing animals. But then they don't necessarily see people just using it as a running activity. So they do like a blanket ban of any activity.
Yeah.
They say don't go into the forest. It is a reserve forest. But then tribals and locals have access to go to the temple. And it might be on special days. It might be only some months. So it has been a constant struggle or juggle to find out how to access what. And as long as they know that you are there and doing the right thing, people are usually okay. Not always, but usually okay. So, for example, the one trail that we go to, there was a there was an IT professional who retired and came from Hyderabad. He became a sannyasi and he just traveled to Coimbatore. Like he just got on a bus. He didn't know where the bus was. The bus ended up in Coimbatore. He was at the bus stop. Some local talked to him and he didn't want to talk because he was in a tunnel. He wrote. He said he just wants to live a life. And that guy suggested, come with me. I'll take you to a place in the mountains in the forest. There's a temple there. You can stay there. And he came there and he was living there. I think he lived there 5 years almost. So this guy, there were pilgrims who would come there. There was a lot of plastic that they were bringing. Because the temple is fairly big. There were 5, 6 villages that put money and built the temple in the forest.
Right.
It's completely in the reserve forest, but during British time, uh, just around the temple, they had given permission building a temple for the locals. So they are allowed to access the temple. But so when they come, they bring a lot of plastic, and until then they were burning all the plastic there, or they'll just throw it in the pile and bury it, kind of thing. But this guy was collecting, and he would ask people to take it down. When we started going, when we saw that he was doing that, we said, we'll take it. Right? You just collect it and keep it for us. We'll take it. So me and my friends, when we go, so it then became a thing that we would go there regularly, at least once a week, and he'll keep. When we get, so the temple is not at the top. It's 3/4 of the way, and so we go to the temple, and then we go to the summit and come back to the temple. When we go to the temple, we'll ask how many bags we take. He'll just, show in his fingers 3 or 5. Right? So then we'll know how much we are carrying. So we'll carry it down and take it. So, I mean, these are little things.
Right. Yeah. They matter.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is like even when the forest department sees this, they kind of know that we are not there to do anything. They have their goals. They have their if something has happened, then they have to stop everybody. But otherwise, they try to let us.
Yeah.
And I guess what I was trying to say is there's so many trails here that we don't know, even just living. But now, when I walk anywhere in Coimbatore, I can't avoid seeing this mountain.
Right.
I land, when the plane lands, I can see it.
Right.
There is this triangle that I can always see, that prominent profile. And I've never wondered about it.
Right. Until you got into it.
And now I climbed it from 7 different routes, and I traversed the whole bridge. I've mapped it. And, yeah, so
Amazing. Amazing. So like there is like thing I see, right? It can come to you in whatever way or form, but once you take it up, you tend to run with it and take it to a bit of an extreme, make a real thing out of it. But the passion that comes out of the passion for whatever thing you take up, right? That, and now, what is the longest trail run or ultra run you have done?
So I've done a race called UTMB,
Mhm.
which is 171 kilometers. It's kind of like the Boston Marathon for
the trail.
It's not the hardest. Um, it is considered the most popular one. It's a commercial race, but it's
Now it is run by it is owned by the Ironman, the same.
Yeah, it is the
company,
same.
right?
I think they merged together.
Correct.
I don't know who bought who.
Yeah.
And UTMB has now they started making a lot of races around the world. Uh, there are few
When
races.
was this? When did you do this?
I was supposed to do it in 2019, but I fractured my hip cycling down here in Kotagiri, and then COVID happened, and they let me postpone to 2021, August 2021.
So that it is a 100 miler.
100 miler,
Right.
just a little bit more, 171, with 11,000 meters elevation gain.
Right. It's maybe not the toughest, but it is the most popular, and it is very, very tough.
Yeah, it is. It is tough. It is tough. But I'm saying there are tougher ones out
Tougher ones out there.
there for sure. There is really crazy ones, and I mean there are ones that are 555 kilometers. There is people are now trying to do even longer.
Yes, the backyard ultras have become so popular.
Yeah.
There's like people are going crazy. Like what is the longest that these guys have done? Like man, I think last year I think Hardy some guy and then Courtney Dauwalter is obviously become a legend in this ultra running scene. But amazing. So that is the longest people have done?
That is the longest.
UTMB.
Yeah. Longest in distance and time. That was 37.5 hours.
What was the experience like? It is like most people kind of consider the mecca of trail running.
Right.
I mean, at least before it became so commercial. But
Right.
yeah.
It was very nice. It was during the COVID time. So we had to do some, even just getting to France, because France had considered India as a red list country. So I had to go to the US. And coming from the US, it was okay because US was a green list country. So I spent 2 weeks in the US. Ran, since I went there, I got to run a trail race there also. 100K. And my friends were saying, why are you are going to run your longest race, the hardest race? Why are you running other races? Just go for a run with friends. I said, but there is this 100K right here. Why should I not run? And we had this argument with my friends, Prateep, and like all these. You form close friendships.
Right. Yeah.
So I have a lot of very good close friends. They're all crazy guys also. You know. So, but Prateep was saying, hey, he was sending me articles about you have to do 2 weeks of taper before a
Right.
long effort like this, and it's it's going to be really bad and all this. And then so I kept like googling for about an hour or two, and I found this one guy who was an Olympic coach, and he has this idea about 5 day or shorter taper.
Shorter taper.
Right? And so I read this article and I'm very happy. I said, because after the 100 I had 6 days. So I'm good. Right? Yeah. So it was good, okay. Because it was COVID, there were a lot of regulations. They were thinking of making the runners wear masks in the aid station, which it's not going to really work out.
Right.
People are so tired. But the race starts at 5:30 in the evening, and running for 37 hours. First of all, you can't sleep properly the night before on a normal morning race.
Right.
And this is starting in the evening, so I can't sleep in the day. Right, like my family was with me, and I mean they were trying to let me sleep, but still I can't sleep, and so I didn't get proper sleep. But I used to have this thing where I thought I can, skip sleep. I've always had this idea that I can go like 2 days without sleeping, no problem. During college, I've been like that. But somehow that during UTMB, the first night itself, I started feeling sleepy. Until then, it was okay. And freezing weather kicked in, and I had 3 layers on. I had waterproof jacket, waterproof pants, and so UTMB is a whole week, right? So they have many distances, and the last race is their longest race, which is the UTMB race.
Right.
The other races are like TDS by UTMB or CCC.
50 kilometer,
50
miles.
Yeah,
All these
there
things.
is a 140, which is TDS.
Right.
So when we had gone there, TDS was, and I had just gone for like my family was still sleeping. I said, I'll go for a hike. And because I know the first finishers, the champions will be coming through in that segment, and I wanted to see them. Right? So I hiked and nobody was coming through. So I hiked till some point and came back and I asked what, did they change the route? They said somebody died.
Oh,
The guy from Czechoslovakia, the top athlete from Czechoslovakia in that race, he was running in 35th or something position, and I think it was a slip and fall around in the rocky section,
Right.
and he hit something, and yeah, he died right there. And so they changed the course. They were thinking of maybe canceling UTMB.
Oh,
Because
right.
and also I mean he didn't die because of freezing weather, but freezing weather had kicked in for TDS.
Right.
And even some of the local experienced runners who've run the same race many times, I met one guy, he said he was shivering so bad and he thought he would get hit with it. So, these things scared me, right? And I was not sure if they're going to, organize the race or something. So it was, yeah.
So was it that year that there was this confusion about the starting of the race and they had to kind of keep postponing the start? I'm not sure because I kind of heard this.
They had that because, first of all, they were not sure if the race will happen because of COVID.
Right. Okay.
Right? But then once they announced, they said, okay, we are definitely having the race.
Right.
But they said we'll have all these regulations. You have to show, vaccinations and all this, right? And they also said we'll let. I think we had 3,500 people around so in the race. They'll let 1,000 people at a time. Normally they'll leave
Everyone together.
Yeah, everybody starts together, but they corralled people. So I think it was half an hour apart. So they make us go sit in a big farmland.
Right. And you started feeling drowsy the first night.
The first night, and then later at one aid station, I went and asked, "Do you have some coffee or something?" They said, "Yeah, every aid station has coffee. It is at the last thing, and it's its own. Like it's not on the main table. It is a separate counter, which I didn't realize. So I went and I started having. After that, every aid station I walk in, first thing is one cup of black coffee. Then I'll have some food. Then one more cup of black coffee. And the second night was much better than the first night. And I hadn't slept through at all.
Yeah.
Right? In between, actually, I tried to sleep. I even had an alarm at iPhone. I had 5 alarms at 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right? But I tried closing my eyes and I waited for 5 minutes. Yeah. I said, okay, might as well go.
Right.
And the last night I was running well. I performed better in the second half of the race than the first half.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Maybe coffee kick in.
Yeah, I think mind felt better.
Right.
And it happens, people.
You kind of warm up to it and
Yeah, I've heard somebody say that 100-mile races, it's not like a 5K, 10K, or a half marathon. Those races you have to actually train for it.
Right.
And then 100 miles, the first 20 miles is the training. Right? Then the next 20 miles you taper, and then you have the next 20 miles, which is the race, and then there is the recovery. So the whole thing happens in one race. So
That's a great way to put it.
And I met an 81-year-old guy who, the year I met, he had run, he's been running on World many. And that year he was running 500 miles. training races. She 81 years old. And, you know, you see people like that. There is no excuse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is, you can't say, like I hear in many cycling and running groups in Coimbatore, in one of the groups, cycling groups, there are some doctors, and one doctor had posted, uh, after 40 years, you have to be very careful. You shouldn't, cycle more than 40 kilometers. And you shouldn't run more than 10 kilometers, something. I don't think this applies. If an 18-year-old guy runs 100 miles 5 times, he had a hip replacement that year.
Wow.
Also,
Included into that.
Yeah.
Maybe as a sixth challenge.
right. So, yeah.
Crazy. So what you have run many you have done the UTMB, but you have done a bunch of ultra races in India, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the toughest one here in your book?
Uh, I'm wearing, I think this is, I didn't know.
Solang
So honestly,
Sky
I didn't
Ultra.
know you were coming today. I saw the story from Shankar just before I left, and I didn't know we were going to talk
Right,
this
yeah.
thing set up today, right? I know, like, we had talked about it, but and so this, it just happens to be one of my favorite shirts. I just picked it up randomly. It's Solang Sky Ultra. Hellrace is the company that organizes it, and I like the because the terrain is beautiful. The organizers, you can never really complain about any of the people who have done, organizing a race, because of the amount of hard work it is. Right? Like, some races you will go and there is always some problem. Right? There is, maybe some aid station was not stocked well. Maybe the marking was not right in one race. And it happens. It happens because there are so many things that are changing. The weather, the volunteers, uh, all these people putting in so much effort. I don't think they're making that much money.
Right.
And it's not, if you're just doing this as a business, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So every race, I think the organizers are good. Because if it doesn't, if one year it's not good, the next year I've seen improvement in every race.
Right.
The races that I felt that they didn't, they could improve, they have improved, and they are improving. So with so long, I really like the trail. And they have 100-kilometer race.
Where is this?
Manali. Right? So Solang is very close to Manali, and it starts in the town of Solang. I think the highest point it goes to is 4,300 meters.
Wow.
Brigu Lake. And yeah, so it is. I think one of. I mean, there are many hard races.
But this is the stage is such a majestic stage.
Yeah. So the views are really good. The weather is really good. Right? Like it's colder weather.
The Himalayas and what can be a greater stage?
Right.
How what are the distances?
So they have. I run 60 and I run 100. I didn't finish the 100. I DNF'd at 88. They have shorter distances also. But 100 covers it gives you better terrain. So again, like, if I'm just saying this, it sounds like I'm only talking about one race.
Right.
So I've done Deccan Ultra, which is really interesting race also. I've done Sihagarh race, SRT, Sihagarh, Raigarh, Torna, Pune. It covers 3 forts. Now they have 100 kilometers, which covers 4 forts. That is also a beautiful race. And actually, there is one happening next week by them. They're all like varied races, right? There is Vagaman. I've done Vagaman 5 times. So Vagaman is a beautiful race also. But the thing I really like about Solang is the weather and the terrain.
Mm.
Because I mean, I live in Coimbatore, it's hot.
Right.
I mean, there are hotter places, but but it is so all the other places, the Pune race, Kerala race, and even Malnad, it's not that cold. Right? There's heat, there's humidity, uh, but Solang seems
Is
better.
like, you know,
And you also have the high altitude.
right. Yeah, it's not the same as you would do at
Right,
on altitude.
right. So it's not like jeep trails.
Yeah.
It's not like you are running through estates,
Mm.
right? So you are running through, you are crossing rivers and stuff. But having said that, there are many people coming up with new trails, new trails.
Mm.
There was a Silk Route Ultra I ran, and they started as a hiking competition. They didn't even know that there was a thing called trail race
Right.
existed. And but the people are really wonderful. The place is really nice. It's also in Himachal. It's near Shimla.
Right.
That was nice. There was summit race. There was one in Entrahar Pass area. Um, there was one near just happened here, Setanram again, Manali. Those also give you interesting terrain.
Mm.
But some of them are like out and back.
Right.
So you just go one way and come back the same way. Solang, I think, has a big wider loop.
Mm.
It seems it's
Right.
more interesting.
Amazing, amazing. I'm going to, I know you're a humble guy and all that, but I'm going to put you in spot and say, how many ultra races have you won so far?
One in the first place, I actually don't know. I have to think about it. I'm not trying to avoid the question,
But
answering the question I did. So, um, here's
many
I-
podiums, but
a few,
Yeah.
maybe four
Mm.
or so. I think.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe four or five.
Mhm.
4 or 5 first places.
Right.
Then few other podiums. But what I realized is, since again, trail running is very nascent in
Mm.
India, there aren't that many people who show up.
Right.
I just happen to have be in a situation in life where I can go, people who are younger people who are working 8 to 5 jobs, they can't necessarily be able to travel and do these races. So it's if you have 10 people show up, is it
Right.
really winning?
See,
So one is that. On the other hand, I also realized that was back to back. I was winning. So maybe it was more than four, right? So from back to back, I won a few races, and again, you have friends, friend network is great, and they are very supportive. And even when you sign up for the next race, they're like, okay, bring home the podium. Right? And then you also have this thing in your mind that, oh, maybe you can win this. Right? Like, maybe you should try to win this. And what I realized for me, and this doesn't work for everybody, and this is not what I'm saying, is the right thing to do. What I've realized is I'm not going and I'm doing this as part of my life. That it's not, I'm not trying to be like get into the Olympics or, the Asian Trail Championships or anything. Um, I'm doing this because this gives me happiness. And what I realized is if I focus on winning, then I forget the happiness.
Right.
Right. And so there was one trail race that I had won the year before, and I had performed well. But the second year, I didn't even think about going for the race. But just 2 weeks before, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. And friends said we are running. And I think it was even 1 week before. I had no training. I just went. But then even the race director was like, "Hey, Ganesh is here," and he like brought me out and he said, last year his time was 4 hours 56 minutes on 50K and something and all. And he said, let's see if he can beat that high this year.
I put him on the spot.
And my friend Pratap was running, and he was in great shape.
Yeah.
And he had, he's even crazier. We had a cancellation. We substituted him, and I told him the afternoon before the race. He got on a bus and came to Aircard at midnight by bus. We picked him up. 1:30 we go to bed. Next morning is the race. This guy, actually, he wins the race. Okay, I'm chasing him during the race. And I'm like, I know Pratap, I can catch him, I can catch him, and I ran the race. I ran a decent time for with no training, right? But I felt bad, right? Because I didn't enjoy the race. During the race, normally I take a lot of photos during my race, and I like sharing the pictures on Strava mostly. But I like taking pictures because these are again, you get to go through these areas that almost normal people don't go to. Right? Like we don't like you go to tourist spots.
And
These are much more beautiful than tourist spots.
Right.
Right?
And probably, some of those trails you won't be allowed to go in
Correct.
normal times.
Correct. Because they get special permission for it, and yeah, and then you get to go. They send you off early in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. You wear headlight, and they clear the way, make sure there are no bisons on the way, right? And you go there, and they time it in a way where you get to the summit at sunrise, and these are like Buddha Trail. I've seen sunrise and where Kanchenjunga on the other side, and then there is in I think Deccan Ultra. I saw a beautiful sunrise when we got to the peak there, Kalsumar Peak. Uh, these kind of things we don't normally see. Right? Like, I wouldn't have dreamt of going to uh, Pune and then traveling to this place and going to Kalsumar Peak, sitting there in the morning for sunrise, right?
And so you kind of you're saying that you missed enjoying that part.
Correct. If I'm thinking about winning the race, and like I said, this is not for everybody. This works for me.
Right.
So since then, even though like these after back-to-back wins, I would think that okay, maybe I can push. I still try to push, but I will still keep in mind that
First and foremost is the enjoyment.
yeah. So I don't have to, right? It depends on who's there.
Who is
right?
also showing up.
I mean, there is always somebody better than you, right? And in my case, there are a lot of people better, but there is always somebody better, and you can't I mean, making if you train well, making a goal that you do better time than your own time from a year before or whatever. That is, I think, a great goal. But winning the first or second, yeah, there is somebody else who's done more work or who's in a better state. That you can't compete with that.
Right.
And that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I'll keep my
Great. And this is like, we can talk through the night.
yeah.
This is something that kind of, brings us happiness, right? Talking about cycling, running, and all this, right? This has been fantastic conversation. I love so much love it, and I'm sure we'll continue this some other time. But for now, what are some of the tips that you would give in working adults?
I think I didn't think about it, but I think some of the things that I thought in when I've been doing is it's better like most people don't have time. We all don't have time.
Yeah.
But we all have time. We can make time. So it is. I think it's about figuring out how to do how to arrange things in your life.
Prioritize.
Yeah, to make time. And I think it's better. Some of my friends, I think I have some friends who changed because of this idea of mine, which is um, like people drive to a place and then go run 5 kilometers and drive. And that doesn't make sense to me because you are driving for 45 minutes and then running for half an hour and then driving 5 minutes back in traffic. Why? Right? So it might not be, maybe the 5 kilometers, the place you're running is really nice, but maybe you can find something else that is, maybe like, uh, I think this is a social element. So they are looking for the company, maybe. But then if you can find your own place, do that as part of something, right? So, for example, when I go drop my car for service, I always run back. I drop it, run back. I run to pick it up. It's a simple thing, right? I don't give it for service every day, but like this, right? Even sometimes if I'm by myself, I want to have a shawarma or something. There is a place. It's 4.2 kilometers from there. I know this because I run to it. But so sometimes I run. I order when I'm 2 kilometers in, and so when I go there, it's ready. I have exact change. I give it, pick up the roll. I run with the roll back home. Sometimes I eat there and I come back. But sometimes I can just run with the roll, come home, take off my shirt and just sit outside and eat. It's, what I'm saying is like I could have done. And the traffic in Coimbatore, but in Bangalore, it's lot worse.
4.2 kilometers is easily 1 hour.
See, I don't think you can walk that slow. So, uh, so if we can find the things that we do regularly and somehow incorporate workout into it, right? Not necessarily try to carve time out to do workout, that becomes easier. Then you don't, then you're not losing time, especially even, okay, today I came to see you guys. I did a Google map from my home to Black Thunder, it's 40 kilometers. Google Maps said driving is 1 hour 21 minutes, and by cycling it took me 1.5 hours. Right? So
Save you 12 minutes.
yeah, right. Then I would have 9 minutes, but then I would have had to come load my cycle, unload my cycle, all that. Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is an example that
Yeah.
works, but still, even if it is a half an hour more, you could just cycle. Right? Um, and so the one is that, and the other one is like like I said, I won some volumes, right? And I've done some crazy long distances, a lot of elevations, that kind of stuff. But I was not into sports. I never thought of myself as an athlete. And if I can do all this, anyone can do, right? So I don't think, I think it is, we should just find time to do it. And you don't have to have the most expensive gear for anything. Knowledge is always good. Like talking to people, reading about things, and there are so much information. Your blogs, there is your what else? But there is so much information that you read if you get into how to train people. But you can. I don't think like people think that you have to have uh, 4 back cycle to in my Singapore ride, I saw a guy from Russia. He had taken, he's a 50, 55-year-old guy. He took his son has got a job and moved out of home. He has his own house and all. And his old cycle was at home. It was a rusted cycle, mountain bike, that he cycled from Russia. And I met him in Thailand.
Right.
And it works. Yeah, it works. Right? So you don't have to have the topmost thing. And he was climbing mountains.
Right. Oh, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh no, it was great. It was great talking to you, great catching up. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was my conversation with Ganesh. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.